All right, guys, today we got a 2019 Mazda 3. The client had it at the dealership. They told her it needed some things. She got a little sketched out by it, so she brought it to us. Let's get into it. Here's the backstory. Client was moving here from Virginia. They rented a U-Haul and a U-Haul tow dolly, put this vehicle on the tow dolly and pulled it down here. When they got here, they got in the vehicle and they said the whole dashboard was lit up with all the warning lights. So they didn't know who else to go to. They took it down to the dealer. The dealer looked at it. I've got some notes from the dealer. Evidently check engine light was on, and then some other warning light, brake lights and things were on. The dealer said that, I don't see any notes on what they said were going to fix the check engine light, but they said that the rear calipers were damaged. They didn't say the rear calipers were damaged from the drive. It says that they pulled a code and found multiple codes for caliper damage, inspected and found the pad's been replaced recently, may causing the damage. It's hard to read the notes, but recommend to replace the calipers basically, and then continue. So it sounds like they pulled a code, looked at the brakes, said, hey, the brakes have been done at some point recently, and they kind of put those two things together. I don't even know that there's nothing on here that I can see from the service advisor to the tech that would give the tech any information that the vehicle was towed on a dolly. They may have verbally told them that. It may be on another sheet of paper somewhere. I don't know. But it's not what we can see that the client provided to us from the dealership. When the vehicle came in, this is the codes that we found on it. So I could see where a tech would kind of lead to needing calipers, I guess. Got control module deactivated, parking brake signal incorrect after event, the actuator disengaged, commanded position not reachable, and then the parking brake supervision software failure. But again, if the tech isn't told, if you just came in with that and you weren't told exactly what happened with the vehicle driving, because the parking brake on this vehicle, when you turn the car off, is going to set. So if they were towing it on the back of a tow dolly, at some point the parking brake had to release pretty much right away. Otherwise, it would have just burned everything off. The whole, the back of the car would have been burned off. So if the tech, I could see they'd be a little bit of a disadvantage, but let's take a look and see what the brakes look like. So we got the wheels off of it. We always want to look at the whole thing. So, and we can clearly see immediately, front brakes are brand new. So that's all right. Just going to do a little cursory look here first to see if I see anything obvious. Obviously, we're looking at the back, but I just want to be thorough. Because, the front brakes have been done for sure. I don't know who did the brakes. Yeah, the rear brakes are definitely brand new also. Let's see if I see any unusual wear here.
They were put on improperly.
Yeah, something about the front brake or the rear brakes were put on improperly, or the calipers were put on improperly. Thing looks tight. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. I would imagine these are just retractable pistons here when you go into a scanner and pull it in. Might have to screw it in a little bit more maybe. The pads look brand new. I don't see anything. They're set right now because the key's off, right? So the emergency brake is set. I will say they didn't whoever did it, they did a pad slap, I think. I don't think they did anything with the rotors, because if we see here the little paint marks, unless they just got them right back on the same spot, paint marks are lined up dead on. But who knows? So more than likely somebody just pulled the caliper off, put pads on it. Again, I don't know this for a fact. All I know is what I'm kind of looking at the evidence here. But I don't see anything that's gotten hot. You would think that if those things went down the road and caused an issue where the emergency brake stuck, that thing would have been, you'd see that heat. Let's take a look at this one. Really the same exact thing. I just don't see. Yeah, clearly the rotors didn't come off of this at all. So somebody just pulled the calipers up and put pads on it. I think what happened here is, I think this thing went in with codes in it, and this is one of the things where sometimes we just got to do a little deeper digging. I don't know that the service advisor got information. I don't know what happened to the dealership. My gut would be possibly what happened was the service advisor didn't get the tow information, or did get the information that it was towed, but just didn't put it on the ticket, didn't find it relevant, so didn't pass it along, just because I don't see any of those notes on the ticket at all. Or they did pass it along, and the tech was just like, well, he pulled codes and said, well, it's got codes for rear caliper not reaching the proper position, which is what the codes were for, not able to reach its proper position, and he just went, caliper's no good. But if we think about it, if this car starts going, getting pulled, and the front wheels aren't moving, the rear wheels are moving, the module could theoretically have software in it that says it's being towed, release the emergency brake, or whatever. It says that the wheels are moving, we need to release the emergency brake, but then it sets a code because it can't put it where it wants it to be. It wants it to be in the bound position with the key off. I mean, we'd have to do some serious research to find out what exactly the strategy would be. Went into service information and looked up theory and operation on the brakes. Had absolutely no mention of any kind of strategy for the rear calipers or the rear parking brake to be released. If the vehicle was being pulled or something, it honestly had no strategy on the fact that the parking brake got applied when the key is off. So it had a lot of information on the braking system, but very limited on the parking brake. So let's go ahead. We're going to get in this vehicle. It does look like there is a self-test for this system though. So we're going to get in here. We're going to clear the codes on this thing. We're going to run the self-test on the brake system, and let's see if anything comes up with that. And then we'll go to the next step after that, depending on which direction that takes us in. I'm in the dynamic stability control module. Let's go ahead and go into vault codes are cleared. Let's go ahead and just go in here and make sure there's none in there. No codes. So now we're going to go into key on, engine off, self-demand test. And let's let it run through that. I'm assuming it's going to let the emergency or the parking brake activate and do things. Right here. Did you hear anything back there? I didn't hear anything.
It's so loud.
It is loud in here. All right. It says there's no DTCs after running that test. Everything is normal. Let's see if I see anything in special function. Yeah, I don't see anything for that. I think that the thing we need to do here, I don't think, again, let's not go down a rabbit hole. Let's get this thing down the road. We got a code in the body control module for PATs, and then we've got in the dash electrical supply unit for the seat heaters for some reason. I don't even know this has seat heaters. Yeah, it has seat heaters. Let's get this thing on the road. Let's get it wheeled up. Let's get it on the road. Let's see if anything comes back, if any code's set, if we feel any kind of weird pulsations or pulls or anything unusual. I just don't think we need to go down a rabbit hole. I think this was a operational type, put it in a weird operational manner, and I think it set codes because of it. I don't think it's going to need anything, honestly. But I don't want to give somebody a car back that I'm not sure of. So let's get it wheeled up and take it for a ride. We are halfway through the test drive. No issues whatsoever. No lights. Everything's good. Parking brake works good. It engages when you turn the key off. It disengages. Actually, you don't have to disengage it. You put it in the gear, you go to pull off, it disengages. Everything's working normal. I'm going to get back to the shop and I'm going to give you my final thoughts because I really feel like I know what happened here, and it's unfortunate, and I'll let you know what I think. Closing thoughts on this thing. I'll tell you that this is what I believe happened. Either there was a miscommunication between the client and the service advisor, or the service advisor and the tech, and it wasn't told to the tech that it was pulled on a tow dolly. But even if it was, this is the kind of thing that people think that technicians do. This tech pulled a code and then immediately said we need to put, it's got code for calipers, put calipers on it. And that's what people think that we do. They think that, we just hook a machine to it and it tells us what's wrong with it. And that's why they don't want to pay for diagnostics. And if that's what you're going to do, is just pull a code and tell them, you know, you need a part, then yeah, you probably shouldn't get paid maybe a tiny bit to cover the cost of the tool, nothing else, because you're not really doing anything but reading a code and saying put a part on it. You've got to actually diagnose the vehicles. You've got to actually go in and know, is that good or is that bad? There's nothing wrong with these calipers at all. There's going to be comments on here to say, well, you don't know there's anything wrong with the calipers. Maybe it'll go bad in 6,000 miles. And I don't know, maybe the world will stop spinning in a day. I don't have a clue. But I know this. Right now, there's nothing wrong with those calipers, and I would put my wife in it, and I'd put my grandchildren in it. And we've got to be better as technicians. We've got to spend the time, when people are paying us to diagnose stuff, we actually have to spend the time to diagnose it, not just pull a code and throw a part at it. There you go.
And they said retest after that.
Yeah, and then they're going to put the calipers on it and retest. What are you retesting on that? So, and sometimes that's a viable thing. Sometimes it's like, hey, I've got to get over this bridge. This thing's messed up. You guys know I've said this a million times on a ton of my videos. If the check engine light came on yesterday, one thing's wrong with it. If it came on 6 months ago, all bets are off. There could be multiple things wrong with it. In this case, there was nothing wrong with this car. They pulled it down. When I first heard about it, probably the same thing you guys thought. Hey, the rear brakes locked up because it was on a tow dolly and burnt the brakes off of it. But that's not what happened, and we've got to be better. We've got to be better. I hate to be this harsh about it, but it's a reality. So anyway, appreciate you guys watching. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, bell notification, leave a thumbs up, hit the thumbs up, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this situation and how you would deal with it. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one.